Hello, my friends. In this video, I'm gonna be discussing with you about my hypothesis about how people who use the internet a lot will change the way that they communicate. I have written some notes down here, and that's gonna help me to talk about the idea that I want to share with you. So, basically, some people communicate with other people in the way that they use the internet. And this tends to be the people who use the internet chronically. So, the people who are on the internet all the time, all day, whenever they have a free moment, they're on their phone or whatnot. These tend to be the people who communicate in this way more from my personal observation and experience of humans during my time on Earth. Now, I'm going to give you some examples of behaviors that they do. So, number one, is they tell people what to do in a bossy way. So when you're using the internet, right, you're all constantly telling the computer and the internet what to do. You type something in and you're telling Google, fetch me this information. You type in an address for a certain website and you're telling Google, oh, take me to this website. Or whether it's Google or Safari or whatnot, just the internet in general. You're constantly directing and telling it what to do, and they tend to translate this behavior and take it from their online usage into their real life interactions. So, another example of a behavior that chronic internet users do is they don't feel empathy and they dehumanize others. So they just don't really care about other people. They tend to not even see them as the same as themselves, like not at the same level. They just dehumanize them and don't really care about what other people think that much. So then the next one is they tend to be narcissistic and they have a big ego and a big sense of self-grandiose in general. So a lot of people who use the internet, they think they're super smart, right? And so when they go into they think they know everything because you know, just from the way that they use the internet. So then when they go and talk to people face to face, they also have this, they don't necessarily, they don't always make it obvious to you, but a lot of the time you can just sense that they really have a big ego and they think they're better than you. So the last one here, the last example is that they have anger and unacceptance of people. Oh, sorry, to rephrase, they have excessive anger and unacceptance of people who hold ideas different from their own. And the key point here is they do this for things that are not that important. And that's why I put the word excessive at the beginning there and even restart the sentence just to emphasize that point. Because there are some things where if somebody truly believes something very horrendous, then it makes sense to have anger and unacceptance of that person. However, for other things, like whether I'm a vegan or not, for example, it doesn't make sense to have excessive anger and to not accept me as a person simply because I'm not a vegan and you are. Humans, almost every single human throughout history has not been a vegan. So that's why I think that it doesn't make sense to have excessive anger and unacceptance as somebody who, towards somebody who is not a vegan, as one example of how this line of thinking can be totally unacceptable, I would say. The unacceptance and anger towards other people is unacceptable, which is kind of a funny phrase. So now let me get into why the people who use the internet, why they who people use the internet all the time, why they act this way, and they change their communication style towards other people. So it all boils down to the neural networks in our brains. Neural networks are changed through the habits that we form, and the habits are the repetitive actions that we take day after day after day. So when we do certain habits, certain neural networks, neural paths, I should say, are reinforced, they become stronger, they become thicker. And the ones that we don't use, it's the reverse. So when people are using the internet a lot, certain neural pathways are being strengthened and thickened. And when you think about it, when you're using the internet, you are still communicating. You're communicating with the world at large often. And at the very least, you're communicating with the information system databases and the computer itself. And when you communicate in that way extremely often, then it would make sense if this style of communication bled into your other forms of communication, particularly with in person, face to face communications. So, this neuron wiring is due to the habits that they have that affect their communication in general. So that's my hypothesis slash my theory, if you want to say that in colloquial language. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe down below. I hope you enjoyed. Peace.